So, with the release of the Demon Slayer movie Infinity Castle just over the horizon, I figured it was time for me to cover a Demon Slayer character on this channel. Demon Slayer is actually one of my favorite mangas, so I hope I can offer some insight into the scaling of the series. In today's video, we're going to compare the blind Hashira Gyomei to another character from a series that I happen to enjoy, Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, we're going to compare the two blind warriors who stand among the top tier ranks of power within their respective verses, Toph Beifong and Gyomei Himejima. Like I usually do, I'll scale the strength, speed, durability, and hacks of both characters in their respective verses, and then see who would win in a hypothetical cross-verse matchup. Without further ado, let's start with Toph. First, I want to specify that I'll be using specifically the version of Toph in Avatar: The Last Airbender, as I haven't actually watched The Legend of Korra. It's not because I don't like it or anything, I'm just lazy and haven't found the motivation to watch it. Plus, I'm already watching other TV shows at the moment. So that means I'm not going to be using any scaling from Legend of Korra that Toph might upscale from. With that being said, how strong is Toph in Avatar: The Last Airbender? We can set a baseline of talent level, as in episode 10 of book 2, she was able to hold up the Wan Shi Tong library, which calculations assert to be a talent level feat. This is consistent, as Toph should be equal to or outright superior to other members of Team Avatar, who all have some degree of talent level scaling, Aang in particular. Talent level is kind of a hard cap for characters in Avatar, except for ones named Aang or Ozai. However, if you wanted to get Toph higher, you could take the numerous amount of statements which assert Toph to be the greatest earthbender of all time. This would scale her above Avatar Kyoshi, who is a native earthbender. Avatar Kyoshi has a feat of creating Kyoshi Island, which is actually small country level, so we can put Toph in that tier as a rank high end. As for speed, Toph should be getting into those massively hypersonic ranges, as she would scale to or above members of Team Avatar who have feats of reacting to lightning after it had been fired. This wouldn't necessarily scale to Toph's movement speed, though it would scale to her reaction and combat speed. So while she might not be able to move as fast as lightning herself, she can at least keep up with characters who can. Her abilities consist of earth bending, metal bending, seismic sense, and that's pretty much it, aside from her enhanced physical capabilities. Overall, Toph would find herself ranging from town level to small country levels of attack potency, with massively hypersonic combat and reaction speeds. Would that be enough to take on the Stone Hashira? Let's find out. Now, I want to specify that I'll be using Gyomei at the time of the Sunrise Countdown arc, as I believe that is when he's at his strongest. This section of the video will contain spoilers for the Demon Slayer manga, so if you don't want to see those, you can skip to this timestamp in the video. With that being said, we can get into the scaling of the Stone Hashira. Similarly to Toph, we can set a baseline for Gyomei of around building to town level. Being the strongest Hashira, he pretty much upscales every demon or slayer in the series, except the ones who he directly fights against. Sorry Doma and Akaza fans, Gyomei slams. Anyway, Gyomei would upscale multiple building level feats shown throughout Demon Slayer, but at best, he would upscale Gyutero's Explosion, which calculations assert to be a town level feat. Gyomei doesn't actually have any good AP showings of his own, so town level is about as high as it gets. I did find a calculation that gets the shockwave that Muzan created to be city level, but Gyomei doesn't scale to Muzan in any way, shape, or form, and even if he did, the only way he can damage him is specifically through a weapon that negates his durability, after he was already being weakened through a drug that literally ages him thousands of years older. As for speed, Gyomei should also be in those massively hypersonic ranges, as he would scale with Mitsuri and Tanjiro, who have feats of reacting to Hantengu's lightning, as well as Zenitsu, who is actually just stated to be as fast as lightning. His abilities consist of just mainly his breathing techniques and enhanced physicals. He has access to the transparent world, which basically allows him to perceive time in slow motion for a brief second and predict his opponent's next attack. Similarly to Toph, he has sort of a seismic sense where he can see things using his other senses, mainly his sense of hearing. All of his other abilities are mainly more suited for fights in his own verse, and have little significance in a cross-verse matchup, so we don't need to bring them up. Overall, Gyomei would find himself in the town level ranges of attack potency, with massively hypersonic combat and reaction speeds. With both characters scaled, let's get into the matchup. After reviewing both characters, they're actually way closer than I thought. Though I would give Toph a slight edge in AP, as her town level metas are way more consistent and actually scale to her physical attacks, whereas Gyomei only gets to that level off of one calculation, which doesn't account for the buildings being made of literal wood and rocks, which also doesn't scale to his physicals. What I'm saying is Gyomei isn't going to be trading blows with a town level character. Pretty much the only way to damage one will be using his weapons. Even if Toph has the edge in AP, Gyomei definitely has the edge in speed, since he's faster than a character who can actually physically move as fast as lightning. So does that mean Gyomei just blitzes and one-shots Toph? No. Toph should easily be able to react to lightning speed characters, as she scales above other characters who can react to lightning point blank. Using her seismic sense, she would be able to see all of Gyomei's attacks and react accordingly. She should also honestly just be more skilled than Gyomei, since mastering breathing styles is way easier than mastering and even creating bending styles. Especially since Gyomei is kind of a nepo baby who was born with superhuman physicals and became a Hashira in just 2 months. Versus Toph, who despite being a blind little girl who was heavily sheltered by her parents, still became the greatest earthbender in history and invented her own bending style, which is something not even the Avatar could do. So who actually wins here? Well, in my opinion, Toph takes it. She just has better win cons. Toph can amp herself with earthbending and change the landscape to her advantage, or she could use metal bending to literally just break Gyomei's weapon. Gyomei's weapon is actually just stated to be made of iron, so yeah, Toph metal bending Gyomei's weapon is actually a win con, as he would have no way of damaging Toph, and from there she could just beat him up normally. Toph just has way more consistent scaling. At worst, Gyomei literally has no method of damaging her, and at best, Toph just outlasts him in a prolonged conflict. So yeah, overall, Toph beats Gyomei 9 times out of 10, high difficulty. But what do you think though? Do you think I got anything wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked the video, consider subscribing. As always, see you next video.